Hi everybody, this is Professor West. Welcome back to Java Programming. This week we're going to do, or in this segment, we're going to do if statements. If statements are extremely important and very, very powerful. They're important because for the first time this gives you the ability to have some control over the flow of your program. What does that mean? When the program runs, it comes to the main function and it automatically just starts running one line. So here it would run this line, then it would run this line, then it would run this line, then it would run this line, the 5th line, the 100th line, the 1000th line, whatever, till it gets to the end and then it's finished. It would do that every time it ran and the output would always be the same. Now, with an if statement, for the first time we have the ability to say, hey, do this stuff, but only under these conditions. So, let's jump right in and let's do a little bit. First thing we have to do, we have to add the import statement under our package, just like we did before. Import java.util.scanner. The next thing we have to do is we have to go into our main function and we have to add the scanner statement. Scanner, lowercase s scanner, equals new scanner system.in. This will allow us to have some input. And let's take that and let's create a few statements. Let's say int age. So I'm creating a variable called age. And now I've added a system.out.println command that says please enter an age. And we're going to ask the user to input their, somebody's age. And then we're going to do an assignment statement that accepts a value. So we're going to say age equals input, or actually, my bad, scanner dot next int, because we want the integer, or we want it to be accepted as an integer. And now, so let's say they type in 18. Well, age would now have the value of 18. So the next thing we need to do is set up our if statements. If statements are incredibly easy to set up. We actually use the word if and then put parentheses. And what we're putting in the parentheses is called the condition. So age is greater than, 21. If age is greater than, and that's exactly how you would read it too. If age is greater than 21, and then we'll have something happen. So system.out.println, hey, you're older than 21. Yay, why not? Now, just like with anything else, this is very important. Only the single line following this statement is part of this statement. Now, what does that mean? That means, watch this, system.out.println. This one runs too. So let's see what happens. If we run this program, please enter an age. Okay, let's start off by doing it right. We'll say 34. Now it's going to compare and say, is 34 greater than 21? Yes, it is, and therefore this line will run. And, hey, you're older than 21. And then this line's going to run also. Now let's run it again, and let's pick something lower. Let's pick 18. This line, this statement was false, so this line did not run, but this line ran anyway, because this line is not part of this condition. If you want to have more than one line as part of your condition, then you have to add braces. Remember before when I told you that braces group things together? Well, congratulations. This line is now grouped in with this statement. So let's save it and run it. Now If it's less than 21, let's say 20, neither line runs. But if it's more than 21, they both run. They're both now part of this if statement. There's another thing that we can do, and just like before, you can click on this and see that this is the one that goes with it. Let me give myself some more room here. Now, there's something else we can do. It's actually called an else statement. And we just add the word else and then another bracket to group our next lines. And what's going to happen is this condition is going to test. If it's true, everything in this part's going to run. If it's false, what's in this part, what's in the else, will run. So, let me save a little bit of time by copying these print line statements. Quote, you're not older than 21, semicolon. But that's okay. Why not? So, now when we run it, the first part stays exactly as it was. Please enter the age. If it's less than 21, though, let's say I enter 16, now it runs the lines from the else statement. This is very, very important because in the programming world, there's often going to be times where you don't want everything to run. There's going to be times where you want only some things to run. There's going to be times where you don't want it to run at all. So, we can do that. And it all hinges on this condition. Now, there's a few more things we can do. And this is where it starts getting a lot more powerful. First, I could have added another condition here. I didn't have to just say else. I could say else if, and then I could add another condition. Let's say age is greater than 18. Not age. Age is greater than 18. Not older than 21. But you are older than 18. And guess what? This else can have this else if could have another else if, or another just else statement. Else if I want to have another condition, age is greater than 14. Print line. Well, you can watch a PG-13 movie at least. And again, every if statement has to have a corresponding closing statement. Every else statement has to have, or every bracket. I could come in here and I could have another else statement. I could do another else if, or I could just do an else like I did before. System.out.println. Maybe watch some cartoons. Which I don't know why you would have to be under 14 for that. I still watch cartoons. That's a whole nother story. And let's see. Now when we run it, we have a whole lot of different options here. But the important thing to remember is only one set is going to run depending on what you type in. If I type in that I am 15, well, this first one's going to be false. This one is false, so these aren't going to run. Then it's going to test here. This one will be false, so these lines won't run. Then it's going to test here, and it's going to say, oh, this one's true, so this line will run. Well, you can watch a PG-13 movie at least. That's true. And then it skipped this one. This is so important because there's no limit to how many if and else statements you can have. I could have a whole new set of if statements. I could keep building on to that one. It's totally up to me as the programmer. I have all the control. So let's do something here for a second. Let's make these a comment. To make more than one line of comment, remember earlier I showed you that you just put 2 lines like this. To make more than one line of comment, you start with a slash and an asterisk, and then when you're ready for that to end, you do it the other way. Asterisk and then a slash. Now everything between those lines, these are all comments. The computer will completely ignore everything in here and skip down here to where we're at. So check this out. int num1, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a value. Let's say 15. Okay, if num1, and let's say, this is going to be fun, %2 equals 0. I chose this one for a couple of different reasons. First, when we did our comparison a moment ago, you notice that each one of these only had 1. It was greater than 21. I could have said greater than or equal to 21, which would have included 21. Right now, if I typed in 21, now this would be true. If I didn't have the equal sign, then it would only be 22 or higher that would make it true. So you can always have a greater than or a less than sign, or you can have a greater than or equal to sign. But if you're going to use equals alone in your condition, you have to have 2. Why is that? Because here, remember when we just did 1, 15 is assigned to num1. If I just had 1 here, then this number would be assigned to it before it tested it. And we don't want that, because then it would always be true. Now, why did I put this %2 here? %2 tells it to divide the program, or to divide num1 by 2 as many times as it can until it cannot do any more. So let's say if num1 was 10, then 10 divided by 2 would be 5. But because I didn't use divided by 2 though, did I? I used the %2. Percent tells it to use only the remainder. So 10 divided by 2 is 5 with a remainder of 0. But if it was 11, then there would be a remainder of 1. If it was 12, it would be a remainder of 0. If it was 13, it would be a remainder of 1. So all I'm doing here is checking to see if it's an even number or not. If so, then I can have a statement that says, hey, it's an even number. And let's say I want to have an else statement. And I want to say, odd number. Now, no matter what number this is, right now it's 15, so 15 would be, it would be 7 with a remainder of 1. This is going to be false. So the odd number line is going to print odd number. Of course, I could have asked for the number and then told it to go by that, so that you wouldn't just get odd number every time. But I wanted to show those 2 commands. I wanted to show you what the %2 would do. You can do that with anything. I could do %3 to see if it divided by evenly by 3. I could do %17. I could do whatever. And each time it's going to divide it as many times as it can, and then it's only going to have the leftover. It doesn't care if it went in 5 times or 8 times or 10 times. Okay. Pardon me. The next thing I want to do, I'm going to clear out all this, is I want to talk to you about compound if statements. So let's say int age and forgot my semicolon, and now you know what, let's just do grade. That's always a fun one. It's always easy. Grade. So please enter a grade. And I'm going to say grade equals scanner dot next int. Okay. So I'm going to I'm going to write a little program here that's going to ask the user to enter a grade, and then it's going to accept whatever they enter as the grade. And now we're going to see what happens. So let's say if grade is greater than 90, let's do greater than or equal to 90. And I'm going to use braces. Let's see. Yay! You got an A. And now I'm going to have else if, and here's where it starts to get fun, grade is greater than or equal to 80, not bad. You earned a B. And as you can see, I could keep going if I want to do this. Okay, I paused it real quick so I could fill in the rest of this without wasting all your time. And I just kept going. If grade is greater than or equal to 80, if grade is greater than or equal to 70, 60. And if otherwise, oh no, it looks like you got an F. So no matter how you run this, how they do it, please enter a grade. Let's say they got a 50. Oh no, it looks like you earned an F because each of these statements was false. If you run it again and say, oh, got a 76, well, at least you earned a C because grade is greater than or equal to 70 is true. So this one ran, gave us that line, and then finished with the if statements. So these are nested if statements. They're all part of this, or I'm sorry, they're if else statements, and they're all part of this one group. So anytime one of them runs, the rest of them will not. So each of these has a single condition. But what if we wanted to have more than one condition? Let's add something else here. Let's create a new variable called int test score. Okay, and let's copy these two lines and tell it, please enter a test score, and change this one to test score. So now let's assume for a second that this is for a college entrance exam, and you have to have either a 90 average, or let's say a 90 average and a 1520 on the test in order to get accepted to the school. So I could say, here in my conditions, I'm going to put a second set of parentheses. This one's going to go around everything. And then I'm going to make some room here, and I'm going to have a second condition that says test score is greater than or equal to, what did I say, 1520? Now I have to have one last thing. I have to have a way to combine them. So I'm going to use ampersand twice. So what this does is it's going to go through and it's going to compare this condition. Grade is greater than or equal to 90. Then it's going to compare this condition. Test score is greater than or equal to 1520. Because I used ampersands, that means the word and, same thing. This one has to be true and this one has to be true in order for this line to run, which would say something like, yay, you are accepted. And then let's say we go down here and they can have an 80 average, but have a test score greater than or equal to, let's say, 1590. Now I'm totally making up these numbers because I have no idea what's a good number on something like that right now. Depends on which test you're taking, obviously. But in order to, if you have a lower average and a higher test score, you would still be accepted. So, under this condition, you are still accepted. And let's go ahead and let's stop it right there. We don't need a whole bunch of conditions. Let's lead the rest of these down to the else statement and say, oh no, you didn't make it. So, when I run this program, if this is true and this is true, then this line's going to run. Otherwise, it's going to come down and check this one. If this is true and this is true, then it's going to run. Then this line will run. Otherwise, this line will run. Please enter a grade. Okay, let's test it out. Let's say they got a 91 average for their grade. Please enter a test score. Let's say they have a 1530, and it says, yay, you are accepted. On the other hand, let's say they have a 93 for the grade, and they only have a 1515 for the test score. Oh, sorry, you didn't make it. It has to be, this one has to be true, and this one has to be true. Now, I could change that. Instead of using ampersands, I could use the OR command. To get to the OR, you hold down the Shift key and press the button just above the Enter key. It almost looks like a colon, but it's not. It's right beneath the backspace. Now, an OR says if this is true or this is true, run it. Run the next line. So now, if they got a 93, but their score was only 1515, it would still say they're accepted because I used an OR. And for an AND, it would have to both be true. For an OR, one or the other would have to be true. Let me change that back to an AND. Now, let me tell you something else. I have two conditions here. I can have more. I could have 10 things it compares, and they all have to be true. Or I could have some ORs and some ANDs. It doesn't matter. It's whatever I want to do as the programmer, or whatever you want to do as the programmer. And, of course, you always want to try to keep it simple where it's understandable so you make less mistakes. But I just wanted you to know that you could theoretically have, 15 or 20 or 50 conditions, whatever, in order to have it be true. So it's all up to you. And that, my friends, is why I said if statements are so very powerful in the programming world. So, like I said, you have to play around with this stuff and practice with it like I've been doing here. And just have fun with it. See what you can do. And hope you join us for the next segment. All right.